Morning grade 8s. So we're doing our last piece of equations. Probably the hardest part. If you battle with this, don't stress. Most of the kids battle with it. This is the hardest part of equations. It's literally a story sum where you have to identify what is the x, who is the x in the story sum, and then let it equal to the rest of the story. So it takes practice this and some time. I'll have a look at some pieces with you, and then if you look just to guard your, don't get afraid. The exam or the test, you only find one of these. I'm not saying don't just give up on them, but they are difficult. Okay, so let's try. I'll try and help you. Your book's got a couple of examples, and I'll show you the way I work them out, or you can use the book's example, how their method, how they work it out. But let's have a look. Okay, so setting up an equation. All right, so page 103. Setting up the equations says the sum of, now you already know this from your algebraic expressions. We did it your algebraic expressions already, where we are building an expression. Yeah, the sum of x and 7 equals 10. So what's the sum? It means plus x and 7, so it means x plus 7 equals 10. There we go. A is 3 more than b. So now a little bit different here. A is equal to b plus 3, because a has to be 3 more than b. A number increased by 5 equals p. So a number meaning x, if you look on this side, x. A number increased by 5 equals p. The difference between x and 6 equals 8. So the difference between x and 6. They could have said the difference between a number and 6. So if they say a number, we normally identify a number as x. Let's look at another one. The product of x and 6 is 12. So the product meaning timesing. So you could have said 6 times x equals 12, or just 6x, because you should know that 6x is 6 times 12. So use these. I suggest you take these down in your books. Write these down. They're very important. They're the core of making your equations. If we turn over, quotient means divide. So don't forget, quotient means divide. All right, very important. You need to take these terminologies down. Consecutive natural numbers. So consecutive natural numbers mean any numbers. So the first natural number will be x. The second natural number, because we don't know what the natural number is, so we call it x. And whatever the number is, then after that, if they're consecutive, they follow. You just add 1, then add 2, then add 3, then add 4, because we don't know what the consecutive number is. So the purpose of the hard thing about this is, you'll be like, but sir, it's consecutive numbers. Yeah, but what are the consecutive numbers? Is it 30, 31, 32? Is it 1, 2, 3? Is it 4, 5, 6? Is it 1,000, 1,000, 1,002? Is it -2, -3, -4? We don't know. But they're consecutive. So whatever the first number is, it means it must be, the next number has to be added by 1. The next number must be added by 2. Yeah? To get the number up, because we're starting with the unknown. So you have to know these concepts. What about an even number? If I tell you if I ask you, and I wish I was in class, this is very hard. If I ask you, think of the even number I'm thinking of. What's the even number? You don't know. But watch this. If I say 2 times whatever number you're thinking about, sir, it becomes even. Watch this. So if I was thinking of 3, is 3 even or odd? 3 is odd. But if I times it by 2, if I use 4, is 4 even? And if I times it by 2, it's still even. So the sharp kids, I've never had this before. I think I might have had it once, where the kid says to me, when I say, what even number am I thinking of? And the kid said 2x. Because that can be any even number. So you're answering my question. So if I ask for any even number, it's 2x. And if it's consecutive even numbers, what will I do? I'll do 2x. I can't say plus 1, because if I say 2x plus 1, it'll take me to odd. So it has to be 2x plus 2. 2x plus 4. 2x plus 6, because that'll always take me to the next even number. Okay, so if you look over here, here's your consecutive. That's how to make up your consecutive even numbers. And if you want to do any odd number, it'll be the even plus 1. The even, because 2x means even, so you need to write that down. 2x means even. So if you want an odd number, it'll be just 2x plus 1, which will give you odd. Then the next one will be 2x plus 3, because that's an odd. And then 2x plus 5, that's odd. Okay, so these are difficult. I'm going to do 2 examples with you. And let's see what you can do. And then I've given you only 5 to do today. So let's have a look. Let's look at this. Very important to look here. It says, the result of the sum of a certain number and 4 is multiplied by 3. So what is my x? In this statement here, the x is a certain number. That's my x. So you have to identify what's x. So the result of the sum of x and 4. So let's go to my book. So the sum of x and 4. So the sum of x and 4, let's go back to the book. The sum of x and 4 is multiplied by 3. So whatever this sum is, I have to multiply it by 3. The reason why I couldn't do this, x plus 4 times 3, because what is BODMAS telling me I must do? I must say 4 times 3. And is it saying the sum of x and 4 times 3? It's not saying that. It's saying the sum of x and 4 multiplied. So I must take the sum of it and then multiply it by 3. Let's go back to the book. So the sum of a certain number of 4 and 3. Then the answer. So there's my equal sign. Then the answer is the same as multiplying the number by x. What is the number? Multiplying the number by 9. So what did we say? The certain number is what? X. So what, after the equal sign, I need to say the sum of that number and x. So that number and x. So let's have a look here. I'm back in my book. So the sum of a number, that was the number. The sum of the number and 4 is then multiplied by 3. It equals that same number which we don't know multiplied by 9. So you're building an equation. That's all you're doing is building an equation. And then you work this thing out. What do I have to do over here? I have to distribute it, eh? Don't you know how to distribute? 3x plus 12 equals 9x. Take the 3x over because the 9x is bigger. So I'll take the 3x that side. So it'll be 9x minus 3x equals 12. What's 9 minus 3? Gives me 6x. 12 divided by 6, divide by 6. Cancels, cancels. X is equal to 2. So the number is 2. And you can work it out. It works out. Okay, so these are difficult, but let's have a look at another example in your books. It's in your books. I've got a different way of working it out. So you can take watch this video and take mine out. It says, the length of a rectangle is 5 more than its breadth. Okay, so when I'm doing perimeter or area, I have to find which am I going to call x, the length or the breadth. This takes practice, ladies and gentlemen. The length of the rectangle is 5 more than its breadth. So the length is dependent on what? On the breadth. Because the length is 5 more than the breadth. So what's my x? My x is the breadth. So I'll write this down. That's how I do mine. Okay, so we're asking for perimeter. So the first thing you need to know now, you guys all can't remember this. Perimeter equals twice length plus twice breadth. Okay? My length is equal to, what did we say, who is the x here? The length of the rectangle is 5 more than the breadth. So length is dependent on breadth. So breadth is my starting point. So breadth is x. And my length, you said, is 5 more than the breadth. So the length is 5 more than the breadth. My breadth is x. And then they tell us here that the perimeter is 38. The perimeter is 38. Calculate what the length and the breadth are. Okay, so I know my perimeter is 38. So now I have to throw all of this into an equation. Perimeter, which is 38, is equal to twice the length. What is the length? X plus 5 plus twice the breadth. The breadth is x. Distribute in. 38 equals 2x plus 10 plus 2x. Those two can add together. Will give me 4x. I'm going to take this 10 over. It was plus 10. When it goes over, it becomes minus 10. So it's 38 minus 10, which gives me 28 is equal to 4x. What am I solving for? X. So I divide by 4, 7 is equal to x. Let's see if this works out. So that's my x. So my breadth you said is x. So my breadth now is 7. I've worked it out as 7. So now let's check here. So my breadth, so perimeter is equal to twice length plus twice breadth. So my perimeter has to equal 38. They told us 38. Let's see if I substitute this if it works. So my breadth is x, my length is x plus 5. Okay, so it's twice, I'm going to write it out in full for you. Twice, you said x plus 5 plus twice x. We've worked out what x is, so I'm going to substitute 7 in here. So it's twice 7 plus 5 plus twice, and my x, what's my x? It's 7. 7. Let's see if it gives me 38. It has to give me 38. So what is 7 plus 5? It's 12. And what's twice 12? It's 24. And what's twice 7? It's 14. So perimeter is equal to 38. And is it 38? Yes. So, guys, this is difficult. This you will battle with. It's okay. I need you to write down all your information on page, page 103 and 104, the important stuff. Make notes on it. Do my 2 examples and try the Excel. I've only given you 5 to do. You should be able to, you'll probably all be able to do 1 and 2. 3, 4, 5, you might battle. It's okay. I'll give you the answers. And when I get back to school, we have to thrash this section. I have to do lots with you on the board. I just have to carry on and on and on until you guys feel comfortable. So it is a hard one. Try it. Don't stress if you can't get it. I will go over this again with you in the classroom. Thank you. God bless.